Welcome everyone, good morning. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Genta Hajri. I'm Delivery Lead for Digital Innovation at LOTI. And today I'm joined by two of my colleagues, by Rob Shapiro from Good Things Foundation and Rianne Huber, an independent service designer who's been working with us. Before we begin, just to say a massive thank you. This show and tell has been massively oversubscribed. So again, we want to thank you for the interest and for giving up your time. You probably haven't heard much from us since June. So today we'll be sharing a few updates on what we've been getting up to in kind of developing the digital inclusion service for London. We are working in the open, and again, we are sharing things as we go along. So very keen to get your views and feedback on anything that we talk about today. So in terms of the agenda for today, we, again, as I said, will share a few updates from myself, from Good Things Foundation and our service designer. And then at the end, you will have an opportunity to ask questions. In the meantime, if you do have questions, please do feel free to put them in the chat and we'll take those as we go along. A very quick introduction, just for the benefit of those who join us for the very first time. LOTI has been working with the GLA to deliver the Digital Inclusion Innovation Programme since June last year. So in our first year of delivery, we've been focusing on working with boroughs, VCS organisations and third-party sector organisations to work on a number of areas, but primarily focusing on devices, connectivity, skills and support. On the screen, you'll see three examples of the many projects we've been working with our partners on, ranging from digital inclusion research to developing tools to enable people affected by dementia to engage online, to mapping digital exclusion geographically, but also the nature of that exclusion across London. We learned a lot from these projects together, as I mentioned, with our partners. But then our ambition was to develop a service that kind of meets the needs of Londoners, wherever they may be, something that is sustainable and long-term. So that's where Digital Inclusion Service for London comes in. Back in June, we announced our partnership with Good Things Foundation, who will be working with us to develop an inclusion service for London. This service will consist of the data bank, which will provide mobile data to those who need them, and the device bank, who again will provide digital devices, laptops, iPads, phones, etc. to digitally excluded Londoners. All of these will be delivered by the Digital Inclusion Network, which consists of VCS sector and libraries, which I think we have quite a few colleagues from on the call today, and we'll be working to develop your capacity to deliver free devices and free mobile internet connectivity to Londoners who need those. Again, our thinking at the moment is that this will be a 12-month pilot where we are developing the infrastructure needed to deliver this large-scale operation. Once this service is set up, we think it will have the capacity to support up to 75,000 people over 3 years. And again, the service will be London-wide, but more importantly, hyperlocal. And this is where VCS organisations come in. We want to make sure that people who wouldn't otherwise engage with public services have the ability to access the devices and the connectivity they need to get online. A quick reminder and major thank you as well to those of you who were able to join us at the Digital Inclusion Conference back in June, and likewise to those of you who were able to attend our workshops on the 8th of June. It was a really, really good opportunity at both events to hear your views and feedback on our proposals for setting up this service, but also to work together with you to identify risks as early as possible so that we can mitigate them and develop a service that really meets the needs of Londoners. A quick update from me before I hand over to my colleagues, what we've been up to since June. You've heard us talk about Get Online London. So again, we've been developing this kind of branding name for the service, because our ambition, even though we are delivering a 12-month pilot, our ambition is for this pilot to be to go on beyond the 12 months, to be a sustainable service and something that continues beyond the Digital Inclusion Innovation Programme. The other thing we've been working on, and which Rob will update you more on, is stakeholder engagement. So we've been meeting with lots of businesses, business membership organisations, universities, boroughs, lots of different partners, to ensure that we build a sustainable pipeline of digital devices. The other thing we are planning is a communications campaign. So that will kick off in just under 2 weeks' time. We'll have the Mayor of London support us by writing to businesses and public sector organisations seeking their donations of digital devices. So I'll let my colleague Rob from Good Things update you more on that front. The other key thing that we've been working on is we've been working at how the key stakeholders can access this service, Get Online London. Again, we know that there are 3 main personas that need to access the service and distribute the devices and mobile data to Londoners. And that's, again, obviously VCS organisations, our donor partners. We want to make sure that it's easy for them to follow that donations process, and so on and so forth. My colleague Rianne will share more details on that front. But for now, I hand over to you, Rob, if you would like to introduce yourself.
Thanks, Genta, and morning, everybody. My name is Rob Shapiro. I'm a partnership manager at Good Things Foundation and working closely with LOTI and the team around Get Online London. So I just thought it'd be a good chance to give a really quick snapshot on where we're at this moment in time. So yeah, do you want to just come on to the next slide, please, and I'll just go through a few points. So where are we at the moment? So we're looking to have this official launch in January, if you like. But what have we been getting up to in this period? So we just thought we'd give you a quick overview, really. So we've been busy looking at getting as many people joined up to Get Online as physically possible. Just a few examples of those types of organisations. We've got lots of different charities, boroughs, digital inclusion teams in boroughs, and also community organisations right across the board. So we have also set up the data bank now. So the data bank is, you are able to access that, and there's 73 organisations that have joined that and so far and have access to data. In the next few months, there'll be some Q&A events for organisations that haven't joined or interested in further information about taking part and how to get involved. But there's also really the focus at the minute is organisations joining. So if you haven't joined yet, please make sure that you contact us on the email below, or you can go through the registration process at the link that will be shared after this meeting. Next slide, please. So a quick update on donations of devices. So we're particularly looking to work with organisations in the public and private sector to donate devices. So there's a mixture of all different types of organisations. I've noticed there's quite a few boroughs on the call. We've spoken to quite a lot of boroughs, and just to really come down to it, we're not talking hundreds of devices here. We're talking about thousands of devices, and we're nearly in a position to share some of the organisations that we're working with at this moment in time. We would like just to let you know that although we're launching in January, there will be opportunities to get devices, and we're talking smartphones, laptops, and potentially tablets as well. So again, it's a bit of a call out. So if you're not part of this at this moment in time, please contact us. because you need to be joined up. If you are already part of the network and in London, you are already part of this. So it's more just to make sure that any organisations that are interested at this moment in time have signed up. So the way you'll find out about it, particularly on devices, will be through newsletters, or all of the organisations based in London that are part of this will be emailed. So you will get time to let us know. So really have a think about the need in your community, because there will be opportunities that come up in the next few months. Next slide, please. So this is a show and tell, if you like. So we thought it might give you a bit of an overview about some of the challenges we've had with device donations. So as I mentioned, we're looking to focus on working with organisations, businesses, and the public sector. It takes time. There's a lot of behaviour change still needed within organisations. There's a lot of devices that can be unlocked. And it's really interesting, the sorts of conversations we've been having at the minute. But it does take time to build up those relationships and help organisations understand how they can benefit Londoners at the end of the day. We've also had conversations with people who are really interested in supporting their customers or their people in their local area. So we've been trying to get across the message that we want, or if they want to benefit organisations in their particular area, to make sure they're part of Get Online London, and that this isn't something that that is going to stop. We're looking to work with many organisations across London and hopefully have a steady stock of devices for a lot longer than just a flash in the pan. So it's really just getting that message across at the minute that the organisations that donate, it will benefit London, but also if there are parts of their communities that they want to benefit, to let them know that they can join Get Online London at no cost and really see the benefits. Genta touched on it earlier on, so we are due to launch a campaign to encourage further donations from businesses, supported by the Mayor, which you will start to see towards the end of this month. So if you do see any social media, anything in the media, please feel free to share, to encourage local businesses in London to get involved and really help fix the digital divide, because we believe there's still so many devices that are able to be unlocked in that particular area. Next slide, please. So just to reinforce what I've been speaking about, really, so organisations will be contacted once devices will become available. If you've not signed up to the data bank, then please let us know, and you'll get access to free data connectivity for the foreseeable future. It's not a short-term thing, as I mentioned. The cost of living crisis is really starting to hit now, so we want to make sure that all the organisations that can benefit are aware of this and will be able to get access to data. Later on in the new year, there will be some capacity building opportunities, potentially with grant funding attached, but also opportunities to understand how best to deliver digital inclusion and how to support people in your organisation. So keep an eye out for those. And the sort of running theme for that is just make sure that you're joined up, and if you don't know if you are, then please contact us on the email that I provided earlier. And the final thing I just want to end on, so it's Get Online Week in a week's time, so from the 17th of October. So this is a really good opportunity to just really highlight the work you're doing in digital inclusion and really promote and highlight the activities that you're doing. So I really encourage you to have a look at that and make sure you highlight some of the great work that you're doing, it's a real opportunity to just get that in the public eye, and we'll be supporting that this year. So, and also if you have any events or anything like that, you can also go to the Get Online Week website. If you just type it in on Google, you'll be able to find it, and you can register your event there. So that's it from me. It's just a high-level update at this moment in time, but we'll try to get through your questions. So I'll pass you over to Rianne now, and I'll have a look through the questions and look to answer some of those at the end. But thank you.
Great, thank you, Rob. So my name is Rianne. I am a service designer, and I've been mostly working in public sector. And as Gent already introduced, LOTI and the Good Things Foundation have asked me to help think about the journeys that councils and VCS and other organisations go through when they access the Get Online London service. So if you want to go to the next slide, please. I just wanted to start off because, of course, when you think about people accessing a service, it's really important to keep in mind where they're trying to go at the end. So as a reminder, the high-level outcome of this service is that every Londoner will have access to the device, mobile data, and digital skills they need in order to get online. Yeah, so it's good to keep in mind that that's what we're all trying to move to together. Next slide, please. But of course, the Get Online London service isn't doing that alone at all, because as you all know, beneficiaries will be getting or accessing SIM cards and devices and training through councils and VCS. So they're sort of the middle layer that are supported by Get Online London, but they're the ones that in the end obviously have the contact directly with beneficiaries. Next slide, please. So the three main big areas, again, that's been mentioned before in this presentation that I sort of focused on for this research, and especially in the context of the landing page of the Get Online London service, is the donations, device donations that come into the service. They can then be distributed down to beneficiaries through councils and VCS. So that's devices, but also SIM cards and training. And then the third element is signposting, because not all organizations will be able to distribute these things themselves, or maybe will be really focused on training, but don't have a space to store loads of devices. So how can organizations, if they come across a beneficiary that they know have other needs that they can offer, how can they connect to other organizations? Next slide, please. And as mentioned before, the main way that organizations will access these three elements is through the Get Online London website. So that this research project looked mainly at the user needs for the website. And to be able to answer those questions, I've had loads of conversations with boroughs and VCS. And for those of you on the call that joined the interviews, like a big thank you again, because it was really, really insightful to get everyone's input. Next slide, please. What I wanted to start off with, because even though obviously the interviews were very focused on what the service, the Get Online London service, could do to VCS, a lot of the conversations focused on the beneficiaries. There's loads of different types of beneficiaries, obviously, who themselves have different needs. Sort of two key takeaways for me in this was, firstly, that it's important to keep this service flexible. Like, it's not always as simple to just give someone a device. For instance, in the example someone gave on beneficiaries with disabilities, they might not only need a device to be able to get online, but also adapted furniture. So then all of a sudden the scope becomes bigger. So how do you make a system that's flexible around those needs? And at the same time, it really highlighted for me like the knowledge that is already in the system. There's so many really great organizations that are already doing loads of work that have like brilliant knowledge in how to make sure people come to training and stay, and or how all these different little tips and tricks on helping different types of beneficiaries. So there's a real opportunity to learn from each other in the system as well. Next slide, please. And then in terms of themes, there were sort of three big themes that came up time and time again in these conversations. The first obviously being funding. It's one thing to receive a SIM card and devices from Get Online London, but you then also need a room. You need people to distribute the devices, to answer questions. So money is always an important question. And there was loads of different topics that set underneath this. So if there's no funding, like, can we learn from each other on how to use volunteers in the system, for instance, which turns into a bit of a collaboration piece. But also, how do you make sure funding is fair and it's distributed across London in a way that is fair? And then what do we mean by fair exactly? The second one was collaboration, which I touched upon a little bit already. But there's loads of great knowledge in the system, and throughout these conversations, it became really clear that people are really keen to learn from each other, and there could be a lot of savings almost to not all reinvent the wheel, but learn from each other and sort of save a lot of money by like that as well. And then the third theme that came up was around defining the work. So that has to do a lot with the scope. If we talk about digital inclusion, what do we actually mean with it? Like, what is included, what isn't? But also, how can this London-wide network sort of shape the future of what we mean when we say about digital inclusion, and pass that on to central government as well? Next slide, please. So to finish off, this is sort of a whiz-stop tour, obviously, of the results, but what kind of the recommendation was is that besides these three big topics that we talked about in the beginning, which is the signposting, the donation, and the distribution of SIM cards, it's also really important that there's an area on the website where that learning can take place. So there's already a lot of resources that both the Good Things Foundation and LOTI have, but it would be great if it's all in one place and it's really easy to find for people, and that to become a place where people can share things that they've learned or learn from other people. Then the first one is obviously the signposting, which is the service directory that also Genta mentioned in the beginning. There's a great piece of work going on at the moment to look at like what that map would look like, what would people actually need when they type, when you're a GP, for instance, and you're looking for a service nearby, what is the information that you actually need to be able to to successfully signpost someone into the service. So that's sort of work in progress. Then the donation piece is what Rob has been talking about a lot, of course, and this sort of workflow there is that there's a form that people can fill out, which is already quite a, it's an existing process that works. It flows very well. So people can, anyone who's interested in that can get in touch via that route. And then the third one is the distribution of SIM cards, devices, and training, which is the sign-up process into all the great offerings that the Good Things Foundation have. And this is also where information about the funding would live, and information on what the big benefits for services are, basically. So that was a really quick overview of what this work has been about. Genta, I'm going to pass back over to you.
Thank you. Thanks very much, Rianne. Thank you, Rob, as well. And also thanks to everyone for the questions in the chat. So now it's really over to you for any questions you have. And I'm going to stop sharing. So I can see John is asking asking a question about the carbon savings from recycling devices. That's a really good point, John. That's something we've been thinking about as well, because again, recycling devices has that positive environmental impact. So we will look at how we might measure that. So, but thank you for that. It's a really, really good point. Veronica, you've got your hand up.
Yeah. I was just going to ask how, I saw on that web design, I know it's very sort of initial stages. Thank you, Ran, it's good to take us through it. If we were to have a supplier, I don't know, that we identify someone, they might be willing to help out in some way. It might not be devices. I'm wondering, because I'm worried about the SIM cards as well. You know, if it was someone with social tariffs or something like that, can they also hook into this?
Yeah, Sure. So anyone who's interested can join organisation wide. You mentioned social tariffs, so there are resources and things out there to help people understand what's out there and what's available. So that could be an option on the page to direct people to more information about that, and it would be considered.
We had some feedback we have a residents group that we work with, and David Isaac, I noticed from Hammersmith and Fulham, is on here. He sort of does all that work. The feedback we've had from residents is that the social tariffs, well, they're very hard to find, and I know LOTI has been doing some work to make that easier to find, but also that when you get a social tariff, it's almost like a second class type of tariff, and they're lower cost, but then you get less out of them. So I'm wondering if we could put any pressure jointly, perhaps, to try and could we use this to try and improve the offer from organisations?
Definitely, and I think there is a lot of pressure to improve social tariffs and the way that they are administered as well. So it'd be interesting to get the feedback on that. So Good Things Foundation have something called the Data Poverty Lab, which looks at research on data poverty. So if you are interested in feeding back, that's fine. And I see Gent has put the social tariffs guide on everything that's available, and there's quite a few more that have become available over the last few months. So I'd be interested to see if you're aware of that, if that covers it. But if it doesn't, then please get in touch, and we can certainly feed in nationally, and I'm sure LOTI can do it on across London as well.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks very much. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. Yeah, lots of discussion on social tariffs. We've done a bit of work, as Rob mentioned, on just mapping and collating information on the latest social tariffs available with a bit of guidance for practitioners who come across people who might need or might be eligible for social tariffs. But yeah, really, really good point. I think there was another question from Andy around Get Online London offering broadband connectivity as well as mobile data. I think we've had some discussions with people, but this is one of those things where the kind of the devil is in the detail. It's thinking about how we would go about implementing that. And again, for this kind of first phase, if you like, of us developing the service, we are very much focusing on that mobile data aspect, but that's something we will definitely explore over the next couple of months. There was another, I think Jess also mentioned, it would be interested to hear how much social value is being pulled in from suppliers, contractors to support digital inclusion. Really good point. I think we ourselves are aware of lots of boroughs doing some really great work, particularly on the connectivity front. But Jess, if you're happy to, I can connect you with a couple of people who have done some good work on this front, London boroughs, that is. More than happy to do that.
Just a quick addition to that as well. So we will be releasing some general research in the up and coming, I think it's next month, or it might even be this month, around data poverty, and one of those particular areas is looking at place-based solutions. So there are more telcos that are coming out with new offers, and for example, I know Community Fibre are doing some really good work in that particular area. So I'm happy to share as well once that comes out, and I'll share it with Gent, and I'm sure we can put it on the base camp and share it far and wide. So you'll be able to sort of see some of the things that are going on, and there are quite a lot of local or smaller telcos in the area that are looking at more social value. So there could be, more local solutions in the future. I guess it's just finding out where they are. So we'll certainly keep you updated with that, no problem.
Rob, you've got a question from Zara about devices and how they are allocated. Is it on a needs basis, or is there a criteria?
So as it goes at the minute, we're hoping that there'll be thousands, like I mentioned, to go around, but you just have to put let us know how many you're looking for. Is it for a particular project? Are there people that are, you know, just help us understand what your need is, and then they'll be marked and allocated as we go along. Also, the type of device as well is going to be important. So have a think about, you know, is it tablets that people want? Are you working with older people that might want that? Is it more laptops, people that are at work, for example, or are people just haven't got any connectivity or any connection at all, and a smartphone, you know, is better than nothing. So yeah, you'll be able to let us know, you know, your need, and then as we put out calls that we've got a certain amount of devices, you'll be able to let us know. So have a think about that at the minute. My advice, I guess, is, you know, have you got a project at the minute, or you know, is your local community, do you understand what type of devices, or is it just any type of devices at the minute would be a benefit? So as Genta mentioned, we're sort of trialing this over the next 12 months, so really interested in once we go out with that what your feedback is. But the idea is to get thousands, so you know, and over 350 organizations that benefit on it. So really interested in what your thoughts will be, you know, once you go through that process, whether it's not enough, you know, or not the right type of devices, or you know, the connectivity and how that marries up, you know. So we're interested in all that kind of stuff. But I think my advice would be just keep an eye out on our comms over the next few months, and you'll be able to apply.
Rob, there are, I think, 2 more questions for you in the chat. One from Maria about funding. I don't know if you've read that.
Not yet, no.
Funding distribution.
Not at the minute, Maria, but I'm happy to take that offline and have a further chat with you about what that could look like and what your experiences are with that. And then Bezim, loads of learners who need equipment. Yeah, Bezim, get in touch with us with regards to getting involved, and we can certainly have a conversation about how you would benefit from that. I don't see there being a problem with that. The only thing, Bezim, is we are aiming for all data and devices, so it would be for more adult learners and people who over the age of 18 for safeguarding reasons, but that includes families as well, so can include younger people.
And then you have a question about, will there be any equipment at the higher end of the scale, Rob?
So we have had conversations about Apple devices, but I can't make any guarantees, James. So we may come across that kind of equipment, but probably not to the sort of scale or spec that you would need. However, it's a really good question and not something we've really considered at this moment in time. So thanks for the question. I'll raise that, but you know, I can't make any promises that the quality. There are some refreshes where it's like 2 or 3 years old, but the sort of level of spec that I think you're looking for, you know, I'd have to sort of take that away and find out a bit more.
Thank you. So we've got one more question from Andy, who is asking about kind of the 12-month pilot and when the distribution of devices starts. I think, Andy, just to clarify, I think we are giving ourselves 12 months to implement, to build the service in its entirety. You know, there's lots of kind of technical considerations we need to take into account and look at, particularly, you know, with engaging VCS, making the distribution process easy and as seamless as possible. Again, making that process really easy and seamless for organizations who want to donate devices and things like that. So we're giving ourselves 12 months, but the distribution will start, I think, as soon as we've got that kind of initial pipeline, which Rob mentioned. We have began, we've started without, we've got a collection of devices already in situ, as it were. So we'll be commencing that distribution process as soon as possible. And that, Veronica, you make a really good point about measuring impact. There will be, Good Things are working, the Good Things evaluation team are working really hard to put together an evaluation framework. So yes, we will, it will be possible to evidence some of that impact. Again, just being mindful that, it won't be for the entire 12 months because, we are doing, part delivery, part still building the service, but there will be some data around the impact for sure. That's it from the questions in the chat. Does anyone else have any questions? Again, please feel free to speak if you'd like to.
I do have a question. Who are you working with for taking care of the technical side with regards to the devices?
Good question. Yeah, so Good Things Foundation, a digital inclusion charity. We're not specialists in refurbishment, so we've partnered with an organisation called Reconomy. And through working with them, we are able to provide organisations and businesses with what they need and peace of mind when it comes to donating devices. So everything from data wiping, tracking, all devices that are donated, and those organisations get provided with a report that meets their need, and any recycling certificates and things like that. And then Good Things Foundation look after the distribution through that.
Are you looking into creating more partnerships at all?
Yes. So if you know anyone, then please contact me.
Yes, I do. How do I get in touch with you?
So you can contact myself, rob@goodthingsfoundation.org. I will type it in the chat now.
I don't have access to the chat for some reason.
All right.
Write it down right now.
Yeah, just rob@goodthingsfoundation.org and
rob@goodthingsfoundation.org. I'll send you an email right now. Thanks.
Fantastic. We'll be happy to chat.
Amazing. Thanks.
Thanks a lot.
Sorry to hear the chat function isn't working for some of you. What we will do is we'll share the slides afterwards in an email via Eventbrite, and you'll have Rob's email on those slides. We've got, I think, another question from Cynthia. Do you work with NHS organisations? There are quite a few patients that do not have access to a phone. Yes. I mean, yes, we have been engaging with NHS bodies. Cynthia, we've got a good partnership working. As part of that work, we are developing a directory of services, which Rianne touched on. So that directory of services is very much meant for either residents themselves or for friends and family who want to support someone who is digitally excluded. And again, digital exclusion has a different nature. Different people need different things. So we want to make sure that everyone is able to identify their local VCS organisation who can help them with any of with anything they need in order to get online. So yes. Yeah,
and there are organisations that are involved that focus on health, like Health Watch, for example, have local branches. I would love more GP services, but we know the sort of pressure that they're under at the minute. So like Genta mentioned, actually this work that Rianne's been doing is really useful for us, because like, how does a GP practice who might come across people that are digitally excluded signpost to, or know who's got access to connectivity to a device or digital skills? So that's where we want to get to.
Rob, you've got a question about do refurbished devices come with any software? And then I'm conscious we've got Andy's got his hand up as well.
So we make sure and work with sort of free, make sure that the operating systems are on there, are usually free to use, so that might be going down the Google option, but whatever option is better. When it comes to software, I guess there's lots of different types of software you can have on there, but it'll only be the simplest stuff. It's all designed so that it's as easy to use for the beneficiary as possible on that.
Rob, you've got one more question in the chat, because I know we've got two people with their hands up about the
warranty. Yeah. So if there is an issue, there is a 12-month warranty on it. The organisations that part of Get Online London, they'll be made aware of a way of reporting if anything comes that's broken. But at the same time, if a person has an issue with a device, they'll be able to report that, and if it comes under the warranty, we'll be able to replace that.
I think we've got Andy and then Hannah who've got their hand up.
Hi, yeah, just wanted to follow up on the question around timescales. So I've tried to apply to this recently and been told that it's not currently open to new applications and that you're only working with selected number of kind of partners for the pilot project. What's the kind of timescales of that, and when will it be open for new people to apply?
Thanks, Andy. So we will be getting something out before the end of the year, and then there'll be further applications going out into the next year. The pilot that I think you're describing was testing some of the operability and the upside of things. So that was only a very small scale pilot that you're referring to there, and was obviously oversubscribed. But I guarantee that there will be opportunities, and I've put my email on there, so you can come back to me. So we're currently in the process of processing a large amount of devices, and if your organisation is within Get Online London, you will benefit.
Okay, thanks. And one follow-up question, if I could. You've mentioned that it would be kind of devices across the range, so laptops, smartphones, tablets. Will it be a kind of equal distribution of those? Because obviously laptops have a far longer kind of lifespan than smartphones in particular, which generally speaking, are kind of becoming redundant after 2 or 3 years because you're no longer able to download new apps or the latest version of the OS for the device.
Really good question. I guess it depends on our rolling stock and how much we have. Obviously, if we got numerous laptops, that would be great, but we're taking devices right across the board at this moment in time. So yeah, it's a really good question, but I think we're just getting what we can at the minute. I think the way it will be working is just on a more local need. So what is it that, what is the need, and where do you think your need will be? Is it more phones or laptops? So for example, a homeless charity might prefer smartphones, because for obvious reasons, because they're moving around, but that might be different for other organisations. So again, we're still learning on this, so any feedback as it comes, please let us know. Yeah,
I mean that's a big area that we're working with, is kind of food banks and support services with working with homeless or rough sleepers, and yeah, the need there is obviously for mobile devices that they can use to connect to universal credit and those kind of things. And yeah, a laptop would be no good because it would just get nicked within the first few days.
Was there any more?
I think we've got one, so we've run out of time, but one very quick comment or question from Hannah, whose hand up for a while.
Just quickly, so I've been trying to promote this kind of the National Data Bank and stuff with our local VCS in Waltham Forest, where I work at the council. We're having a bit of a comms challenge around the multiple names. So, I would tell them about doing the National Data Bank through the Online Centres network with the Good Things Foundation. And it's too much information for people to take on often. They just want like one name to remember and Google. So I'm reticent, I guess, or should I be going and telling people about Get Online London, or should I just be telling people about the National Data Bank? And I'm just want to make sure I'm giving out the right messages about the best way to get these organisations offering those SIMs to their beneficiaries.
I think, yeah, it's a really valid question and something we're sort of trying to sort out at this moment in time. To be honest, I'd just go in with access to free connectivity and devices and digital skill support.
Yeah, I mean, they just want, so that they just, I guess they're writing down one thing to put into Google and be taken to a website where they can sign up.
Yeah.
Just
it's really useful information. I don't know if you've spoken to us before, Hannah, but I don't know, because we've got some documentation we can send out. So again, that offers there if it'd be useful at this moment in time. But we are trying to work through that at the minute. You know, we know it's the journey needs to be simplified.
And also, Hannah, I think that's really, as Rob mentioned, it's a very good point, and I think this is why we are looking to develop this website, or kind of a digital front door, which will simplify the messaging for organisations who want to donate, for VCS, but also for the general public who just want to know who in their local area can help them with a device or mobile data. I think that's really important. This is why we're taking a bit of time in developing kind of the comms and streamlining and simplifying what we're saying and how we are promoting the service. You know, we are working in the open here and sharing as we go along, so it's kind of, yeah, working through all these different things that are coming up. But really good point. One, we've run out of time, but I think there's Jess makes a good comment in the chat about, is it possible to break down devices for parts if they are not usable? Yes, absolutely, Jess. I think our partner economy, which Rob mentioned, is actually doing exactly that. If devices are not usable, they will recycle where possible, or reuse parts for sure. Just to say thank you very much to our speakers, but also thank you very much to all of you for being here and for asking all these good questions. These are really helpful for us as we move forward with our plans. Just to say, yeah, thank you very much. We'll be in touch probably with another show and tell in the new year, or yeah, soon after that. But yeah, thank you very much for your time. Have a great day.